I deployed $8,000 into VFAT 24 hours ago, and today I'm going to be showcasing you the exact results and breaking down my exact strategy. We're going to dive right in. As you can see, I'm already making roughly $81 per day. It shows that I have $50 in earned capital. That's on my current positions, and I've already extracted $30 directly to my wallet from automatic harvesting in USDC. So I'm currently deployed all on Aerodrome positions on VFAT, and I have 81.78. Now keep in mind, I initially deployed 79.50. So that means I'm at a roughly $230 profit just from the price appreciating, plus my $80 that I made from income, which puts me at a $310 profit in the time span of 1 day from my VFAT positions. Now with that being said, what's important to pay attention to is also the divergence loss aspect. Not a lot of people are paying attention to impermanent loss, divergence loss, whatever you want to call it. And that essentially represents the difference of if you're holding in the market versus if you're in a liquidity pool. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about divergence loss in just a little bit, but I first want to dive into the positions that I'm actually in. The first one being Ethereum to USDC. I have $5,000 here, and this one I deployed $49.50 in. So far I have $27 in earnings, and I've already claimed roughly $13 in earnings, which puts me at an overall $40 in earnings. Now compared to if I held in the market, I'm at a $20 profit, but overall on this position I'm at roughly a $105 profit just from the price going up as well as the earnings. So it's important to look at both metrics simply because you don't want to end up deploying into a VFAT position, taking a ton of risk, and then ending up spending a lot of your time managing these different positions, all for it to just be better in the end for you to hold all of your money in Ethereum or hold your initial assets of Ethereum and USDC. You don't want to be in that situation. Granted, these are doing killer yields, but if divergence loss is eating up all of your yield, that's a bad situation to be in. Now, 2 days ago, I made a video where I planned out a strategy to make $262 per day from VFAT off of roughly $30,000 in capital. Now, this is the exact strategy that I actually executed. Funny enough, I executed it a day after I posted that video, so that way you guys can get in before I do and I could end up being the exit liquidity. But also at the same exact time, as I mentioned in the video, I was going to scale into this strategy. I started this strategy with $8,000, and assuming it goes to plan, I am going to deploy up to $30,000 in this strategy. And so far, I've been pretty happy with the results. On the Ethereum to USDC position, I have an automated rebalance of -4 +4. So every time I go out of range, it's going to automatically rebalance me to -4 +4. These parameters are subject to change. I might change these tomorrow. I might change them the next day. They are subject to change depending on how the market is moving. If the market is very volatile, I'm going to end up going with a broader range, whereas if the market's consolidating and it's going sideways, I am going to go with a tight range. As I mentioned, this is kind of a test that I'm running to see how it does. And currently this position is doing roughly 213% APR. And I will say, these numbers adjust like crazy. I mentioned earlier, I was doing $80 per day. Now it's showing $65 in daily rewards, which would come out to roughly $450 per week, or just shy of $2,000 per month and nearly $25,000 per year. Now keep in mind, so far off the past day, I have been able to extract $80 total, which I'm happy for, and I'm glad that it's performing up to expectations. But do know that these APRs are going to change. Now to further dive into divergence loss, the reason why I want to put such a focus on it is because there are going to be positions where you get completely eaten up alive by divergence loss. And a lot of people on YouTube will tell you about positions. They won't even talk about the risk of divergence loss because truth is a lot of their positions are being eaten up by divergence loss. There's a couple things that I want to highlight when I'm talking about divergence loss because there are a couple different metrics that we can look at. Number one is holding 100% of asset 1, which in this situation is Link. Number 2 is holding 100% of asset 2, which in this situation is ETH, holding them 50-50 or holding the initial assets you deployed into the pool. Now this is the Link to Ethereum position that I was in. I actually closed this one out on July 15th. And reality is I'm still running this strategy. It's just I rebalanced this position. So this is one of the positions of the overall strategy basically. Yes, this was doing a 35% APR, but what I want you to pay attention to is this versus hodl number. I came out to an $840 profit compared to somebody that would just hold their assets in the market, which is a very, very good result to get in a position like this. It's doing a low APR, but that entire APR is basically all profit. And when I say all profit, I mean compared to somebody holding in the market. And also this was one of the Ethereum to Link positions I was running while the market was going up and down and relatively volatile, which is why I had a broader range. Now these 4 different metrics, you can see I'm green on versus hodl for all of them, which is important to see. My initial assets, if I were to just hold them, would have been worth roughly $32,178 at the time of exiting. That's $30 divergence loss, but since I had over $800 in earnings, I'm at a profit there. My divergence gain right here on 50-50 is about $42, which means I would have had less if I were to hold 50-50. Same exact thing if I were to hold all Ethereum. I would have had less money holding all Ethereum than actually being in a liquidity position. So of course, those two are going to be at a profit compared to hodl. And then 100% Link. Hodling 100% of my money in Link would have had me $32,500 versus hodl, I'm at a $550 profit there. So overall, this strategy performed very, very well. Another part of the strategy over here, this one was doing 50% APR. And as you can see, green on all of these numbers as well, with roughly $500 of earnings. So that all falls into my underlying strategy strategy, I want to make sure I'm beating the entire market, whether the market's at a profit or not. And granted, my overall goal is to be at a profit in the portfolio because that's what we all love and care about. But at the same time, you want to make sure that you're not exhausting all your resources and all your time and then ending up it just being a better situation for you to hold in the market. And if you guys are looking to create passive income through liquidity as a service, which includes yield farming and liquidity mining, I'm officially exposing my 3-year proven and tested strategy that shows you how I earn 50 to 150% APR on my entire portfolio throughout the bull and the bear market. And then what I did is I took all of those earnings and compounded it back into my underlying position, so that way I could be at over $100,000 profit this bull run so far. So while everybody else was investing into Ponzi schemes and ROI dApps and stuff like that, I was investing into real yield positions, and I was investing into positions that I was able to compound earnings in and build up my underlying capital, not through scams. So if you are interested in scaling your portfolio through liquidity as a service and building up your crypto holdings through yield farming and liquidity mining, I'm going to leave a link to this 20-minute presentation that I made down below in the description, where I'll intimately work with you to help you build out your portfolio through my 3-year proven and tested strategy. But to dive back into the video, I want to talk about my spec position next. This spec position has a range of -6% plus 4%. Now this one so far has not really moved. The price of spec and Ethereum have been very, very correlated, which I'm happy for because that means that I don't have a lot of divergence loss. But diving into it, I've earned roughly $12 in income so far. Keep in mind, I only have $2,100 here, which is about what I deployed, $2,100, and that's at roughly a 398% APR. Now I'm currently running an Ethereum to spec position on Uniswap V3 right now, and I'm considering taking that capital from the Uniswap V3 position, which is about $10,000, and deploying it into the VFAT position over on Aerodrome, because I can do automatic compounding over here and the APRs are much higher. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the results that I've got from this. Even though it's $12, you have to look at it at scale. $12 compared to $2,100 is a pretty good return. Now my next position, which is a risky position, is Ethereum to Brett. Now this one is currently doing a 450% APR, which is really good. I'm running a -4 plus 2% range, which is relatively tight. Do keep that in mind. And as far as my rebalance settings go, I am not running any rebalance settings because I am testing with this capital, but I would highly recommend putting a stop loss here if you are not willing to lose 100% of your money in this position, because Brett is a meme coin. Brett does not really have many fundamentals other than its community aspect. There are a lot of people that love the Brett meme coin, and they're what keeps it afloat. And granted, I'm at a decent profit here so far, roughly $70 on this position, which is pretty solid between price appreciation and fees. But the thing is, I'm also ready for my $1,000 here to go to $0 if Brett were to go completely down. But by having a stop loss, you can prevent huge losses like that. And your stop loss doesn't even have to be -20%, because Brett could swing 20% down and then easily come 20% back up. Your stop loss could be like -50% and basically say, hey, if this loses 50%, I'm out of here, not getting back in, I'm taking my losses on the shoulder, and I'm leaving basically. It's important to have these different stop loss metrics as well as time buffers if you're not willing to lose money in these positions. But overall, my $8,000 in VFAT has turned into $81.65, along with I've claimed $30 in earnings in USDC that I've pulled out, and I also have $51 in unclaimed Aero tokens, and I've claimed $30 in earnings so far that I've taken out in USDC, and I have $51 in earnings here so far for a total of $80 in earnings just in the past day that I've been deployed into these Aerodrome positions. That would mean I made a little over 1% on my money in the time span of one day, which would come out to roughly a 372% APR on my entire portfolio over the course of a year if I were to stay deployed in these positions. Once again, I'm very happy with how these positions are performing so far, and this APR is always going to fluctuate because these APRs are always fluctuating because the Aero incentives are always changing, along with the capital and the pools are always changing, along with the actual price of the underlying pool. But remember, you don't just want to be at a profit, you want to beat what the market is doing. You want to beat holding in the market, because otherwise it's not worth your time to invest into these pools. It's better use of your time to just hold these assets. So if you're truly interested in earning passive income on your cryptocurrency assets, but allowing that passive income to be at a profit compared to the market, my DeFi Legacy program, which I just launched, is going to be linked down below in the description. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you guys did, drop a like, subscribe, notifications turned on, and watch out for my next video. Peace out.